Hi, I'm Randy Altman with Post Perspective. We're at Simpie 2019. This is Jim Helman, the CTO of MovieLabs. Jim, first, what is MovieLabs?
MovieLabs is a technology joint venture of the 5 major motion picture studios in Hollywood. So that's Disney, Paramount, Sony, Universal, and Warner Brothers.
Probably wasn't an easy feat to get everybody together.
Our board consists of the studio CTOs, and yes, they're a good group to work with.
They're busy. So for them to come together and work together on something is kind of big. So you released a white paper on the future of production by 2030, and it had some principles. Can you talk a little bit about what those principles are and essentially what you see for the future of production?
We got together a bunch of the studio production technology executives to put together a vision to kind of guide the direction of the evolution of content production over the next 10 years. And we divided things up into 10 principles, and there were 3 kind of groupings for these principles. So there's a group of elements that consists of cloud foundation elements, which are kind of the underlying pieces that need to happen in order to make a good and interoperable environment for people to develop applications on the cloud and workflows on the cloud. So one key aspect of that is that basically you want to take your assets and move them up to the cloud as soon as you can after shooting, and then basically they stay there. And applications come to the assets rather than, say, moving these large files from like one facility to another facility, uploading and downloading. It's a very different way of envisioning how things are going to work. There also is kind of a multi-cloud aspect to that, because you really would like to have applications be able to easily be containerized and put into different cloud environments.
Meaning public or private?
Well, all of this includes both public and private cloud. So for us, the key distinguishing factor for cloud is that it is kind of internet addressable. And so if you are a creative, someone who's working on a project, that you are able to access that with the proper security and authentication, you're able to do your work from anywhere, as opposed to having to go to a facility that has a particular set of workstations or other things. So it's whether the actual storage for that cloud is on premises, whether it's private cloud, public cloud, combination of the two, it works either way.
Interesting. So since the introduction, and there was a panel at IBC, and then you had a keynote session here at Simpie, what kind of response have you gotten? Before I let you answer that, do you know Michael Cioni from
Yes.
Panavision and Lightiron? He went over to Frame.io, which is a cloud-based application, and his quote was, "It's the best representation of a technological roadmap for media and entertainment." So he is on board completely. So that's one reaction. What are some of the other ones?
Yeah, the reaction has really been very encouraging. Pretty much all of the cloud platforms, all of the major software tool vendors, the post houses, they all want to engage to try and help make this future a reality. So we're very encouraged, and we're really looking forward to working with all those different parties and the studios on prototypes, projects, to flesh out, try out some of the concepts, and also then publish out things like best practices and where needed API specifications and things of that sort, so that there's actually kind of a direction that people can actually implement to and get this out into the ecosystem at large.
Right, because your goal is to introduce it a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
So how are you working with Simpie?
So Simpie is a great group for doing standards development and we certainly see that there will be a need for standards and specifications. So once we have, I think, some elements that are kind of a little bit more developed in terms of best practices or APIs, Simpie would be a natural place to bring those to actually get them established as more concrete standards or specifications. Simpie recently has been doing some experimentation around a technical specification approach to documents as opposed to the full standards-based approach. And so they did one recently related to IMF and ProRes that I think has worked out very well. And that type of a process might be very well suited to some of this.
One of the principles, and there are, as you said, 7?
10.
10. Good Lord, I dropped 3. Is security, which is really important. So I think that you have another white paper in the mix, which is just focusing on that. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we're working on another white paper to publish out to the industry because we think security in particular requires a little bit more of a deep dive in some areas. Traditionally, production security has been, very much focused on, the physical security of, say, post-production facilities. As we move to more and more, IT-based solutions, it kind of moves to being network facility protection. As you expand it out to hybrid cloud, you kind of extend that perimeter-based protection up to a cloud, but you're still kind of operating as if, within that network, you're secure, you're protected from this by this perimeter. And we think as this cloud model evolves, where you will have many people from many, many different places coming in, getting authenticated and authorized to do things, that you can't really rely on perimeter-based mechanisms. And so there's this thing called zero trust, which is getting a lot of play in the technology community. And we think in the case of production, that means really moving to more of an asset-centric model, where we're trying to protect particular assets as opposed to trying to protect the perimeter of the network. So it's a different approach, and we're putting out a white paper probably the end of this year.
Oh, wow, okay. This is probably too soon to maybe answer, but what's next after security? Which principle will you be attacking then?
Yeah, so I said there are 3 groups of principles. One is those cloud foundations that I talked about initially. The second one is security and access. The 4th group has to do with, how do I put together workflows? So what are the processes, the tasks that I have that I need to put together into a workflow, and what assets are going to be being processed as part of that, and then what new assets are going to be created, and how do I publish those assets down to the next user or the next application that's going to be needing to do processing on them. And then how do I make sure that if there's a new version of something which has already been processed, okay, how is there notification so that someone who did something, or a process that did something previously, that we know now that needs to be re-executed. And so there's a bunch of technology and I think some APIs and some standards that will be needed for that. And so that will be one of the things that we'll be working on. I think we need to get some of the foundational elements like security and the cloud fundamentals down first, but that will be the follow-on work area.
It's a lot of work ahead of you.
Yes, indeed. We're going to be very busy.
You are.
But I think the good thing is that we've gotten such a strong reaction from so many of the significant companies in the environment that we're going to have a lot of help in actually getting this done, which is a very good thing.
It's very cool. So where can people go to download the white paper?
The white paper, you can go to the MovieLabs website. That's movielabs.com, and the subdirectory is /production-technology, but you can also just find it by navigating.
Fantastic. Jim, thanks so much for coming by.
Yeah, thank you, Randy.
Take care. Randy Altman, Simpie 2019.